What's up, everybody? My name is David Setta. I'm the youth pastor at Canvas Youth. This is my buddy Todd here, Todd Duitsman. We are excited for today and what we're going to be talking about. We're just going to hear Todd's story and just dive in. When I first met Todd was a few years back at Life Church 360, and he is one of the most positive people. Every time I see him, he's smiling and he's happy, and he's just got a story that I believe would touch every single one of our hearts. And so, Todd, would you go ahead and just open up and just kind of share your story with us?
You betcha. So thanks a bunch for trusting me and having me on here.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, David. Thank you very much. Let's see. So, I grew up in Linwood, about 45 minutes south of here, or a half hour south of here. Two brothers, older brother, younger brother, mom and dad, obviously. And they ended up getting divorced when I was, 14, 15 years old, whatever the case. Yet they were two phenomenal human beings, and I had an unbelievable upbringing. I had, my brothers were awesome. I'm super blessed with my mom's still here. My dad passed away a couple of years ago, yet I just had the best upbringing. I mean, it was just, before cell phones and social media and everything like that. And you just, in the morning, they turned you loose on your day off. You had to work for a while, and then boom, you were off running, playing, getting anything. You drive your bike everywhere. It was just an awesome life. So, so then I went to college a little bit, and I think I went to 3 or 4 different colleges, spent about 6 or 7 years to not even get an arts and associate's degree, but and ended up Western. Met my wife when I was in grade school. So we dated off and on all the way up, and then ended up getting married. I think I was 23, 24 years old, and we went to Western together, and then moved back down to the Stanwood area, and started our life. I mean, so anyhow, we got our life started, and then I was worker guy. I worked construction. I worked everywhere. Just Harbor Homes, the Husky Door, all these different things. And then I started a company, and then I started another company, and got all these companies going. And I was working my tail off, raising kids, just having an awesome life. Yeah. And then the crash of 2008, 9, 10.
Yeah.
And so everything got wiped out. So all the businesses got buried. The cabinet business, the building business, the development business, all that stuff went away. And I thought, what am I going to do? So I went and got a job at Costco, and I love Costco. And then I went and got my real estate license, and so that was 2010, and started selling real estate. And so I just worked my tail off in that. 2012, we went to Maui with my oldest son that graduated from Lakewood here. Yeah. And then he went there with a neck brace on, because he had dove into a pool and caught a football that one of his buddies threw. And I said, son, we sat down and had to talk. You're 18 years old. I said, you think you're invincible. And yet the reality of the situation is God only gives you one body, and that's it. Yeah. So that was 2012. So we have pictures of him over in Maui with his neck brace on.
Oh, gosh.
So, and I remember having that conversation, and then 2014 rolls around. My daughter graduates from Lakewood, and Haley, and so we got a whole bunch of people meeting us there. We're gonna have a blast. It's gonna be awesome. We get to the airport, fly over there, and we drop off our bags and grab something to eat, hit the beach, and then we're running around laughing, playing. And we got probably 20 to 30 people there. We're just splashing around, throwing the ball. Then we start body surfing, and the waves are coming in. There's a couple waves coming, and then there's a bigger wave coming. And I think, oh, I always want bigger, better, faster.
Yes.
And I catch that wave, David, and I'm right at the top of it, and all the adrenaline's just popping, and I'm just thinking, yes, I'm going to be the furthest guy in on this wave, Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I was the human dart that just went bonk right down in the sand, and everything shut down. So you go from being an unbelievable 45-year-old. I was in great shape. I was running, playing basketball with the kids at the high school, everything that you wanted to play, I would play with you, and I would beat you, or I would make fun of you and make fun of your mother, and I wasn't leaving that court until I won. And you go from that to literally you're laying in a hospital bed and, hey, sweetheart, can you scratch my cheek because I got an itch? So it's like everything to nothing.
Yeah.
And the ultimate mind screw. Yeah, the ultimate mind screw. So that's kind of the nutshell up to, the accident. Yeah.
Wow. So how long ago now was this?
5.5 years ago.
5.5
We're coming
years
up on
ago.
6 years. Yeah.
So what was that feeling of, being in that water, waiting, to get rescued?
Yeah.
What was that like?
I remember it, David. I'm sitting there as soon as I hit and everything shut down, and I thought, wow. The first thought was that you're getting dragged back in the water. So it's not like you can just put things on timeout or TiVo it and go make yourself a sandwich. The waves just keep coming.
Right.
So you're getting pulled back in the water. I remember the sun coming down through the water, and I could see the sun down through the water. I thought the first thing that goes through my brain was, God, is this how I'm checking out?
Yeah.
And that was literally the first thing that went through my head was, is this how I'm checking out? And the next moment was this is how the jellyfish must feel, because my body was just like waving in the water.
Yeah.
And I was just getting pulled back out because the waves just keep coming. And then the third thought was boy, somebody's got to get me in the next minute and a half, because I can hold my breath for a couple minutes, but longer than that, I'm screwed, And then Barry came and Tyler came, and they flipped me over, and there I was. It was just I couldn't move, and Barry thought I was kidding, and so anyhow, it was just kind of it's just weird. I knew I'd walk again, but it's just anyhow, that's the whole thing. And then my wife, obviously, she's right there, and we're trying to figure out, okay, what's going on, Yeah,
That's
crazy
intense.
stuff. Yeah.
So me and Todd talked yesterday, and we just believe that right now, in this time that the world is experiencing, that we need real, and we need real stories and real things that people have gone through. And so that was one of the reasons why I reached out to Todd yesterday and had an awesome conversation with him. And so Todd, at what age did you give your life to Christ?
Well, I grew up in the Lutheran Church, now Christ Lutheran Church, and loved it. And but I was going through the motions of, my parents are dragging me along. We went through confirmation, did all this stuff. You're confirmed, you're baptized, all that stuff, which was a huge base for knowledge, because you take notes, you're required to take sermon notes, all this different stuff. So I grew up doing that. Yet, could I say I really give my life to Christ? Then no. And so what happened though is, when I graduated from high school, my mom she helped me to leave the house based upon some bad decisions that I made over and over. So I did whatever Todd wanted for about 4 or 5 years in there. Yeah. Always had my wife, future wife Tammy, as my girlfriend. So she kept me pretty well grounded. Yet really, Todd just did whatever, and Todd sought whatever pleasure that Todd wanted to do. And so then we ended up getting married. And all of a sudden you realize that, there's more than just seeking selfish Todd world. And don't get me wrong, I still try to seek to selfish Todd world. Yeah. Yet the reality of that situation is that I decided at that point in time, probably 23, 24, 25, I wanted to know Jesus for Todd. I wasn't just there, like you and I can go to the gym and you can work out in the weight room and get really big and strong. And if I'm standing there next to you, those muscles don't, just climb onto me. Yeah. And so you're doing the work, you're getting the gym workout, the whole thing. Well, it's kind of the same with Jesus. Yeah. You have to get your Jesus muscle on. And I wanted to go get it on, and I wanted to hit the weight room. I just didn't want to watch David. I wanted to do the work, and I wanted to get involved. I wanted to know Jesus Christ. I wanted to be a better human being. Yeah. And so you can watch all you want, but if I watch you at the gym, I'm not getting bigger and stronger. And Just because you know Jesus or my parents know Jesus doesn't mean I know Jesus.
That's good.
So at 24, 25 years old, I made the decision that I needed to get in and work hard to know Jesus.
Yeah, that's awesome. So as a youth ministry, our theme verse is Ephesians 2:10, and it says, "For we are God's masterpiece, created anew in Christ Jesus to do the good work that he set before us long ago." And I tell my students every single week, that verse tells us three things: that we are loved, that we are valued, and that our life has a purpose. And so going through this whole situation, sitting in the hospital, knowing that you have people praying for you all over the place,
Yeah.
and sitting there and knowing that you're not getting healed right away.
Yeah.
Like, what were some of the feelings? And you can be as real as you want to be. What were some of the feelings, towards God, even today, going through that?
Yeah. So
And still going through it.
yes, and so I knew Jesus, so I knew the rock. I mean, I knew the rock was there, and I was shackled to the rock. And quite frankly, I've never had. There was never a why me.
Right.
And so it was always, okay, this is where I'm at. And when I was raised with my two brothers, Dean and Carl, and my dad was from the Midwest, and so he was all about work. You know what? I don't care if you talk, but asses and elbows. I want to see your asses and elbows, because if I see your asses and elbows, I know you're working. You know what I'm saying? Talk, do whatever you want, but work. And so work was a big, huge deal in his world. And so perform. I don't care if you're green, black, yellow, Hispanic, whatever you are. If you work and you perform, you have value. If you don't, you still have value, but you're not performing. You're not like making things better for other human beings.
Yeah.
And so, so that being said, boy, I just totally lost track of my conversation there. Work. Come on, help me out, David. What were we talking about?
We were talking about working hard.
What was the question?
The question was,
I bonked my head pretty hard. You didn't, so that's on you, buddy. I bonked my head about 5
The question was, what were some of your feelings towards God?
God. So yes. So and my dad said make a game out of everything.
Right.
So if you don't like doing it, make a game out of it.
Yeah.
And so it's the same deal with this. Everything I look at, I first of all get frustrated, and then I get fascinated by it. Okay, I can't reach that. How can I reach this?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? How can I make that work?
Yeah.
My last worst case scenarios, I want to ask you to do it for me. How can I make it work? How can I make a game out of this? And I've applied that to everything that I don't want to do in my life. It's okay. How do I make a game out of it? Because the reality is, we get 80 years here, give or take. Make it the best you can, because really, Charles Swindoll says it best. Life is 10% what happens to you, and then 90% of how you react to it. And so it's like, you know what? If you don't want to do it, make a game out of it. You're gonna have to do it anyhow. I don't want to be in the chair. Make a game out of it. I want to work. I hate not working. Okay, how can I work? How can I contribute to society?
Yeah.
How can I perform? How can I add value to David's life or Maddox's life?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So I didn't really ever get angry with God. It's just the whole thing's a game.
Right.
Yeah.
And that can, add to what we're facing in the world right now. And it's mental strength.
Yes.
Where you have to mentally be strong, and it's, in your situation where you have to train yourself, I'm not going to, just focus on the situation that I'm in, but I'm going to make the best of it. And so the world's in a situation right now, and we have the opportunity to throw in the towel, to give up, to lay down and quit. But this is an opportunity for us to rise up and to make a difference amongst what we're facing and what we're going through. And Todd, you are just such an example, and that is just awesome. And so I just want to ask you, what are some of the dark places in Todd's life? What are some of the things that you still, struggle with, or just mentally? What's a bad day?
So the biggest deal is dopamine hits. As men, we need, I personally, because I can only speak for myself, I need dopamine hits, whether it's playing basketball, whether it's rock climbing, whether it's sex, whether it's playing ping pong, whether it's, whatever. I need to feel adrenaline. That's for me. And so my dark spot is, David tells me, hey, I'm going to go, wakeboarding. And I'm just like going, shoot, man, I want to go wakeboarding.
Yeah.
And so either I can go down the rabbit trail of David's going to be out on the boat, and he's going to be tan, he's going to be in shorts, and he's going to crack a cold one. And guys are going to be like, jet skiing behind, jumping the waves, and there's going to be, Johnny's going to be scurfing and all this stuff. Or either I can start thinking about all that stuff, or I work really hard on that second thought. Okay, I can think of the first one. Boom, David's going, jet or water, boating today. And okay, awesome. Now what can I think about? What can I do different? How can I add value to my life? How can I add value to somebody else's life? So that's my whole deal is I work really hard on on that second thought coming through my brain.
Yeah.
And so then you get a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't typically go on social media, no Instagram, no Facebook, no whatever. I post my stuff on Big Daddy's Big Adventure and I get off.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back and make comments because I can't see what somebody else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And because, oh, look, there's Bill, he's, whatever, he's going surfing in, Australia. Then I started getting depressed. I know for myself that I don't want to go places that are dark. Mm-hmm. So I literally just shut down that thing. I envision a steel boot just squishing that second thought.
Yeah.
And then boom, I'm moving in a different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't afford to go dark spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how many hours of physical therapy could you even think you've done?
Oh, I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even. And right
Weeks
now,
and months.
Yes, but right now I'll go and stand up for 4 or 5 hours a day. I'll do my squats. I'll do all that stuff because at some point in time, and I talk about this on my Facebook page. At one point in time, I hit the wall. It was a year or two ago, and I hit the wall, and I'm sitting there realizing I'm not getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, you know what, I got to work.
Right.
I just have to work because I'm not getting better and I can't spend all this time doing therapy. Okay, this is how the game's played now. How can I play it better than David? So, or how can I play it better than Jim, or Bill, or whoever, or Lance, or how can I play the game better? So at one point in time, I had to put all that stuff away. Now my wife is really super careful about what she eats because I'm super vain. Yeah. And yet, so I got to make sure I'm eating good, and I like to work. I make my phone calls with real estate, and all that stuff has to take a side, sit on the side right now, and it's work time for Todd.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I really enjoy working out and doing whatever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it true that the doctors told you you'd never be able to walk again?
Yes.
So explain that journey with us.
It's a mind screw. Yeah, it's a total mind screw because, but see, I don't believe what somebody else is going to say.
Yeah.
So I just have in my brain what I'm going to do, which is really sometimes that's not the most positive thing in the marriage.
Yeah.
Yet for this journey, it's just. Do you hear the dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is recording. This is live. This is how you do it.
But I'm on that. It's just part of the journey, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just part of the journey. So
that's awesome. So Todd, if you were to tell everyone watching that's going to watch this, how do you keep a positive attitude just from day to day?
Yeah.
Well, especially in this time right now. I mean, I just know that, for me and my wife, we just got married in January, and the stress is high. And
the social distance has got to be brutal for you guys.
Yeah. So I'm just glad we're married. And, just the stress is high. You go to stores to get things that you need and you can't find them. And people are just, going nuts out there. So what would be your advice to tell people, like, how do you remain positive?
It's the best. I mean, honestly, David, because, and I don't mean that lightly, because I know a lot of people are going through tough times and everything else, yet it's when it's the hardest, that's the best, because that's when character's built. How do you respond when the crap hits the fan? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? How can you take something bad and turn it into good? So that's the deal with, even with this situation. Here I am in the wheelchair. Well, up to 45 years old, I got one perspective of life. For the last 5.5 years, I got two perspectives, because now, up to 45, I was just, a guy that could do anything in this life. And then all of a sudden, now I couldn't for 5 years. I get two perspectives. I win.
Yeah.
You only get one. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so my whole point is how do you take everything and juggle it in your brain so that it's just a giant game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got two perspectives in life right now. You've only had one. I win.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I twist everything so that
Yeah.
I think I'm winning. And so the biggest deal is how do you make this into a game? And I don't mean please don't take that lightly.
Right.
Don't anybody take that lightly. But the point of it is how do you twist it to make this the best time ever? How do you make it, well, this time you shine?
Yeah.
When the crap's hitting the fan and things are tough and you don't know how it's going to work out, how do you still have character? How do you still be honest? How do you still love on people? This is the best.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
That's awesome. What I'm going to do is, I was just thinking about this, is at the end of this video, maybe tomorrow, we'll post a video of you getting up and taking some steps.
Oh, okay.
That was just so incredible to see, and to see that strength coming back. And so as we wrap up here, we just thank you, Todd, just for
you bet.
just doing this with us. And what I get from your story, just standing up and taking those steps, and just everything that you said here today is don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't give up. Fight. And fight for mental strength, and train your brain and your mind. And Jesus loves all of us. And
Yes.
we get one life. And so let's live it to the best. Let's make a difference everywhere we go. And let's spread the hope of Jesus everywhere we are. So, dear Lord Father, as we wrap up here today, God, we just pray a blessing over Todd, God, from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. And God, we just pray for anybody that's watching this at home, God, that feels discouraged. God, we pray that they would be encouraged by this video. And God, that you could change their life right there in their living room, right there in their bedroom, wherever they're at. God, we just thank you and we trust you in your wonderful name. Amen.
Amen.
Love you guys.